Well, everyone, most of you will recognize the face we have on screen here. We have Mr. Andrew Abdi,
No worries. Hope it doesn't break your computer
who's,
screens.
who's blending in nicely with his background. His choice of
Yeah, it's all right.
just, it's like
It's the
it's
back
like
wall.
Ulster rugby just through and through here
Yeah.
at your home.
Got my Sunderland shirt above my other wall as well, so
You're,
we've got.
you're looking good with your earphones on.
Yeah, they're very stylish. Wireless as well.
So, Andrew, you are one of our away guys who has ended up in the wonderful city of Leeds. But you have just got home to Northern Ireland, but you have spent most of the summer to date in Leeds. So maybe a wee bit of intro. We'll maybe bring this back a wee bit, Andrew. Kind of cast your mind back to the early days of your involvement at White Abbey, and remind us of how you first got involved in White Abbey, and maybe what White Abbey has meant for you, maybe even during those early years, and also maybe even what White Abbey means to you now. As
Sure.
you spend time away from White Abbey, the things that you maybe miss, and then you can maybe talk about kind of where you're based. Like, tell us a wee bit about Leeds, tell us a wee bit about life in Leeds, who you share a house with, and maybe share a wee bit about your home, where you live when you come back to Northern Ireland. So there's quite a lot kind of there already in the first question. So
Yeah, it's a lot. So we'll take a while with this then.
Over to you. You said we wouldn't do 15 minutes on Zoom, I tell you. Right.
I don't know. Right. It's basically first started getting involved with Abdi. Started going to BB there because I was sent there to basically make a man out of me. It's basically the be all and end all. Just going that from the sort of young anchor boys age to junior section right through the company section. Great, loved it. Wasn't really until sort of company section about, how old was it, 15? Yeah, 15 it would have been. Chris Wilson, old youth minister there, saying when you come down to Sunday night to Oasis Thirst and all that, is I've got nothing else better to do, so I did that. I then started going that, listening more, got more involved with church, started going to things like the village in the summertime, learning more, and eventually started going to Sundays, sort of when I was 17, 18. Sort of realised that I was following Jesus through that, which was great. Just so many great people at White Abbey sort of just got alongside me to tell me to go to these things, listen more. Ricky Shearer, who has been messaging me over lockdown recently, which was just great, just to hear from him and Laura over the couple of every now and again, yourself as well. Then I went basically to university in Leeds. So as we know, I studied theology there. So apparently that makes me an expert in everything biblical. I'm really not. I don't have a clue. I've just the past year, I don't think I've read one theology book. I was just sick of it. But no, came out quite well. Actually, got a 2-1. I was pretty happy. Through that, I managed to do 2 placements at White Abbey in the summertime, which was great. Working with Dave, working in the office with Laura was great fun. Then getting to work alongside Angus and Stephen, and Andy Downey, our old assistant minister, Rachel, and I was there when Sadie, before she left, and everyone else who works at White Abbey and does everything, which is great. And then I suppose we'll just race through to now. So finished my studies, going to do a PGCE, sort of started that, then realised I just wasn't ready for it. So suspended that. I was going to give it another crack this year. Potentially there's a few things that might come up instead. So I just started working in schools basically from about middle of October time, which was good, getting more experience, cover supervising and being a teaching assistant there, which was, really good fun every day, waking up in the morning, going to different schools, meeting different people, sometimes working in the same school for a month or two, which was just great, learning more, enjoying it. And And then sort of, all COVID hit, and then placed on furlough, which was all right. Finally achieved what my dad said I'd never do, sitting my bum and earning money, which was great. I managed to crack it. But then, through lockdown, it was just sort of trying to keep fit mostly. Thankfully, I lived in a house with 3 other lads. So there was 4 of us. So I played rugby, so I went up to my rugby club, just did a bit of running on the pitches there, passing the ball. That kept us sort of sane every other day, kept us fit, which is good. Still keeping the running up now, actually, which is good. And then plans for next year, as we say, September, I'm going back to Leeds, going to do my PGCE. Well, 2 options. I've applied for a few non-teaching jobs, or behaviour support assistant or a behaviour and attendance manager. Decently paid stuff. It's quite good. You get to interact with children. You don't really have that planning. You just have to get up early in the morning, and once your day is done, your day is done. So that would be good. Or I can do a PGC, which again is good. Gives me a qualification, get the chance to teach. So I'm just going to be working through that. What else we want to speak about? I suppose we'll talk about church and Leeds. The ministers, Jonty Rhodes. He wrote a famous book, Raiders of the Lost Ark, that everyone's read, that I still haven't. And he'd even admit he hasn't read in about a couple of years. He's great. He's a top bloke. He's messaged me over lockdown, give me the odd ring, just really helpful. He's on YouTube and stuff.
Yeah.
Doing the best we can, a bit like what we're doing at White Abbey. So yeah, and then I suppose what White Abbey means to me is somewhere where I can just come back every time I'm home and not feel out of place and feel comfortable and just learn more about God.
Yeah.
Through what's going on there, which is great.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think as Christians and as people who are involved in the church, Andrew, like we're never detached, like no matter where we go. And I was chatting earlier with Gavin, and we're talking a wee bit off record, and it's not like there's a little bit of Christ Church in Leeds and there's a little bit of Christ Church in White Abbey. There's the fullness of Christ Church in Leeds and there's the fullness of Christ Church in White Abbey. So wherever we attend, whether it's in a big church like White Abbey, where there's an awful lot going on, or whether it's a tiny little persecuted church that are meeting with a tiny gathering of people in a family room, that the fullness of Christ Church is in those locations. So yeah, as regards to Jonty, like I have heard Jonty speak publicly once at the Keswick convention, and like honestly, you have a great minister there.
Oh yeah.
So I hope that continues and that you're blessed through your church. And
it was great about that convention. It was just like there's so many people in here. It says when we go back to Leeds, there's about 40 of us.
Yeah.
It's just small. Yeah, I've only been going for about 2 years and I've had to move building.
Yeah.
What was it, last year? It was about this time about a year and a half ago. I had to move building just because the place we're at wasn't suitable anymore. And a few issues with it. But yeah, we're growing pretty well. Good student population is good. So yeah, God grows pretty positive.
Church. Yeah, and God grows his church, Andrew. It's not us. It's not Jonty who grows the church. It's not Angus who grows the church.
No, absolutely not.
Not staff teams that grow churches. It's Christ who grows his church. God himself. Just maybe even just reflecting back on just some of the chat that you were sharing there, I think I could see you very, very well suited in that sort of education teaching role. Honestly, I could see you as currently I could see you as a classroom assistant all day long. So be encouraged by that. I could see you just mucking in with young people, whether it's in the classroom or whether it's on the sports field or on the rugby pitch. So be encouraged by that. And don't ever feel that, doing certain things and for certain things not to work out, that all these things shape us and make us into the people that God wants us to be. So my encouragement to you would be just day and daily surrender what's ahead. Surrender the now and what's ahead to God on a daily basis. and just always be seeking that whatever it is you're doing, that it's to the glory of God. So praying to Him honestly and faithfully about your PGCE and what that looks like in God's hands is something that I would encourage you to be doing. I'm sure you are, but just keep that up, and don't be too discouraged about things which have or haven't gone overly well. So yeah, talk about a wee bit about family life. So you're sitting here at home in NI.
Oh yeah.
And the sun is shining, as I can see here.
Very gloomy, isn't it? Jeepers.
So talk to us a wee bit about family life, or give me a bit of an update. How's things?
Yeah, it's alright. It's me, my mum, and my sister at the minute, and my mum's back to work a couple of days, and my sister's just in her room doing whatever she does.
Yeah.
I
ask how your sister's getting on every time we get chatting, and it's much the same. My sister's my sister.
Pretty much, is it? Not much to say. Yeah, it's alright.
At what stage did your sister get away to uni?
Yeah. So I think she's finished her second year, and then I think she's taking a year out because she's supposed to be in a placement year, but that's fell through.
She's back home and she's taking a year out.
I think basically with all this COVID stuff, she couldn't get a placement anywhere, so I don't know.
Because I'm wondering, because we're hoping, all being well, we're hoping to run a Life Explored course in August. 4 or 5 very informal evenings, sessions, and like if you were about and if you could rope her in, like, it'd be awesome if you could talk her into joining us. Because I get every now and again I would keep your sister in mind, and it'd be great if she could kind of link in somehow. But I know that it's certainly on your mind, and I'm sure you pray for your sister all the time.
Yeah, even though she does annoy me.
What was that again?
Even though she does annoy me at times.
Well, brothers and sisters do, and that's what they're good at. But then you annoy her as much as she annoys you. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah, just because I'm a smelly boy, that's why.
Aye, well, here talking to smelly boys. Talk us through a wee bit about your interest in rugby, and tell us about your flatmates and how much of a bunch of hellions you are.
Oh yeah, we have good fun. So yeah, I've just going to say play a lot of rugby when I'm over there. So I'm playing scrum half at the minute, which is good. I'm really enjoying it. Last match of the season got man of the match as well, which was good until it all got.
They must have all been dreadful.
Thanks. No, we actually played all very well. I don't know what happened that day. No, yeah, I love it there as well.
What position on the pitch have you not played?
I've never played 10, but I would love to.
Out half.
I've never played out half.
No.
Yeah, it's out half. I've never played it inside or outside centre, just because it scares the life.
I was outside centre at school.
I would scare the life out of me playing there. I never played prop. I'm not big enough, and I just.
You're about 10 stone too light for prop.
About that, yeah. No, I think I've played every position bar those couple.
Yeah, I've known that. That's why I asked. But this can be the problem with university rugby, is that you get boys that just end up playing every position going, and then you wonder why you're injured.
No, that's third team rugby, Dave. Everyone just plays anywhere. What was short? It's great.
Yeah.
What was it? You have a 17-year-old lad playing with you, and then you have a lad who's about 53 with a wife and 3 kids. It's just like, what's going on here? It's absolutely brilliant.
Well, talk to me a wee bit about the lads in your flats, because maybe off when we're off record, we'll have a chance just to pray a bit. But talk to me a wee bit about just the lads you share your house with in Leeds, and what they're like, and I suppose what I'm trying to get as kind of your witness, and talk a wee bit about that if you think you can.
Yeah. Well, that's it. There's the 4 of us, and we're all just crazy, smelly rugby lads that get up to all sorts of nonsense together, and just like, I don't know, we started egging our own house one day because we thought it was funny.
You started
So
what, sorry?
egging our own house at one point in each other's cars. It was just one of those. We love pranking each other. Like, there was one time we got a screwdriver and we unscrewed this lad's door handle so he couldn't get out, so we had to jump out the window. So we got up the whole sorts. We're good for a good laugh together. But at times it's difficult to get peace in the house because we're always trying to sort of like do each other over, sort of, just to sort of mess about at times.
Okay.
Which was, there was times and places that sometimes it wasn't good, other times it was funny, but we all had our limits as well. That when there was like when people are on the phone to their families, obviously leave them alone and stuff. Difficult to witness because at times I'm a very lazy person at times and terrible for just leaving things lying around and stuff. So we got better by the end.
Okay.
But,
well, I mean, yeah, that's kind of normal. Yeah, maybe you need to start. Are they all still studying, or are they in a similar situation to yourself where they're seeking work?
Two of them finished. The other one lived with us. He had another year to do, but he was same year as me. One of them's joining the police, which is good. He says he's got onto that scheme. Another one says another year to do, so he's okay. And then the other lad, he really struggled to find anything sort of work-wise. He was looking from January, and he just really struggled for it. And I think it really got to the stage where he just knew he had to move back home and stuff. And I think he was a bit disappointed.
Right. Okay.
Which was really, it was difficult. Like, I mean, I was speaking to a lot of people that were struggling just to find any sort of work. Yeah. I think that's probably a big prayer point at the minute. It was like people coming out of university are just having there's no jobs for them at all.
Yeah.
Or anything. People aren't hiring. People are getting laid off at the minute as well.
Well, and the UK is very, very good at producing graduates, but if the jobs aren't there, what are the use?
What's the point?
What's the use of having? But
exactly.
Well, tell us a wee bit more. So, well, I suppose just from what you're sharing, I suppose you all need to start making this transition between student life and normal grown up life, where you're not egging your own house.
Yeah.
I was going to say been there, done that, but I've never egged my own house, but I've certainly egged other people's houses and cars and whatnot. But anyway, that's beside the point. Okay, so talk to me a wee bit about kind of, where they're at, and I think what I'm trying to get at. Okay, so you're connected to a church, you're enjoying Jonty Rhodes and his teaching. Where are those guys at? And how does that even come across? So.
Yeah, well, there's one lad, he's just had no church background at all. It's just, I don't know. I put it on one Sunday morning, actually, we were on lockdown. I watched it and I went, well, that was a waste of time. And I went, I don't think it is, mate. But that's the way he is. I don't know. It just isn't in him. He's quite difficult with it. I just sort of leave him to it and make the odd comment here and there. I mean, morally, he's pretty conservative in what he believes, but he doesn't know why he believes that as such.
Mm-hmm.
And then another lad, he went to the Catholic school, sort of Catholic background, but not really practicing. It's over in England. I've taught in Catholic schools, and it's not really. It's very different to what it would be here. It's not as sort of, what's the word? It's not taught as that way. And then the other lad, I don't know where he's at, to be honest. He's too busy with his girlfriend that sometimes we don't even see him.
Okay. So
it's a difficult house at times. It is difficult to get my quiet times in. That's why I sort of didn't want to. So all the prayer meetings and stuff, I didn't fancy it because, like, I remember I think it was Rebecca McNair's birthday, and I kept on running. trying to wind me up. So it was just like, oh, I probably shouldn't have a prayer, trying to pray, quietly and thoughtfully, and having them running in throwing cabbages at me or something.
I know. Yeah, so
I don't know.
I'll be praying for that in relation. Well, now that you're home, you'll hopefully have time to develop that more peaceful, quiet time. It can't be easy with a bunch of lads that just want to mess and joke.
Yeah.
But it's good to mess and joke too. And I think that's all.
Oh yeah.
It's all part of the witness in many
Don't,
ways.
don't get me wrong. I had so much fun. Like times we're just we're all really good mates. We never have any arguments or anything.
Yeah.
That way it was just some things are difficult, other things are easy.
Yeah. Well, I suppose my next question, Andrew, is kind of in relation to kind of maybe what you've been learning recently, whether it's through just this general situation that we're in, or is there anything that you've read recently, or anything you've been praying through recently? It stood out.
I was just praying sort of at night at times, just to sort of feel more God's presence, just sort of come back to Him a bit with all the sins that I commit, and understand that those are driving me apart from Him at times. Where I was reading through sort of Philippians, just getting a sense of trying to get the sense of what the joy the Lord has for us at times, because I think that's what Philippians try to
the joy
express.
Is the big overarching theme, really, within the letter to the Philippians. So were you reading that in line with our teaching at White Abbey? Because we were...
No, so we were doing... No, not really. I was just reading through that.
That's good, yeah.
That's what I was reading through. Just I was wanting something short to read through, and I thought that was the best one to do it.
Well, it's a wonderful letter. It's certainly a very encouraging, positive letter. Something I've been looking at myself recently has been 1st and 2nd Timothy. In First Timothy in chapter 4. Just we'll get back to kind of some of your thinking around Philippians, but I suppose just something that I was keen to share with you. And I didn't share this with Gavin earlier, but I thought it was appropriate for yourself. So Paul's obviously writing to encourage and build young Timothy up, obviously working in the early church. And in chapter 4, verse 7, we read, "Have nothing to do with godless myths or old wives' tales. Rather, train yourself to be godly." I think that's a really interesting phrase. I was just thinking about you and your rugby and your training, because in verse 8 in chapter 4, it goes on to say, "For physical training is of some value." You understand that, you get that. But then it goes on to say, "But godliness has value for all things." It's really interesting that Paul is encouraging young Timothy to actually train for godliness. So it's something that we should actively work towards. So work out your salvation, work towards being Christ-like. So if we're following Jesus faithfully, well, we should end up being like Him more and more, and really actively pursue that. And that would be my encouragement for you today. So in light of your rugby interest and all your rugby training, and hope to get back to all that, and your witness to your housemates, that you, Andrew, would actively train for godliness, that in all the messing around and all the goofing about with your flatmates, that the godliness is something that takes real importance in your mind. You're thinking about even in the messing around, that it's your witness and your godliness ultimately is the thing that's comes through. Because just with your witness, because what you've shared with your housemates, I mean, that's typical. I think that's classic of kind of who's out there and what's out there. But there'll be moments in those guys' lives that that the big things will happen, and they'll come back to Andrew, who is like, "You seem to have got through certain things, or you seem to be able to handle certain things, and it's the how and the why." And you'll all being well, you'll be able to bring them back to, or show them, reveal them more of God's goodness in your life. So even what you were saying earlier about, that time in prayer of, being honest with God and admitting sin and being open about struggles, that prayer life is there and it's real, and it brings about fruit and it brings about godliness ultimately in your life. So keep training, Andrew. Keep training in relation to your studies. You're looking forward to your PGCE. Look forward, all being well, to your further training for rugby, but ultimately training for godliness. I love that little verse there. For physical training is of some value, but godliness has value for all things. And that verse actually continues. So after Philippians, maybe consider the likes of some encouragement from Timothy, some challenge. First and Second Timothy as well. So so some of the stuff that you maybe have found standing out in Philippians, or I don't think we should maybe chat for too much longer.
No.
But is there anything that kind of springs to mind just straight off the top of your head, or?
I mean, as I said, I was trying to get the theme of joy. Sorry, not theme. Sort of, it was the joy that sort of got back to me, because at times it was just. At times you can feel, I wouldn't say bored, but indifferent maybe would be the word. At times when you're, a Christian and you're just working through things and you're just getting through day to day, and you're like, yeah, all right. Our church service, great. That's that box ticked.
Aye. Yeah, there's the general monotony of life.
Yeah, especially at the minute now. Like, I've just been sitting and, actually, I'm not a big fan of these Zoom meetings, actually, believe it or not. I just think they're a bit wooden. I'm not, I've done them with a few friends at the times, and I just went, too many people talking at once, just leave me alone.
The one-to-one's okay, but I think it's make it a group, or and even a structured meeting can be difficult.
Because ultimately God's people is His church, and the church is full of people, but it's full of individual things. That's what's great about Jesus. I think working through Philippians, you realize that Jesus is everyone's God, but He's also personal to me, which is really interesting. I think before Philippians, I was reading through Romans again.
Oh, wow.
Because I was doing my dissertation on it. I went, let's have a read of this just again to see if I would do anything different. Romans 9 is probably the hardest chapter of the Bible, I would argue, to figure out. And I always say God reveals Himself through His people, ultimately, through that chapter. But it's quite difficult when you're in a lockdown situation, when you're the only Christian there.
Yeah. So
how else is He revealing Himself to me? Well, it's through the Scripture, obviously, and that's where Philippians came into it.
Yeah. Well, it's word and spirit. I suppose in Paul's situation, Philippi, he writes from prison.
He writes from both angles, doesn't he? He's in prison. He's in a lockdown as such.
That's it. He's isolated.
Yeah, so that's what I thought was great about him.
Yeah. Very good, Andrew. Well, well, be encouraged, and do keep reading the Word, and keep praying, and hopefully with being at home you might have the chance for a bit more quiet and downtime.
Yeah, I might start reading some theology books again. I see them at the bottom of my shelf. I think I might. It's been a year since I've read any of them, so.
Well, if you're in Romans, just chatting with Gavin earlier, he was going through Romans, but with a small study group it's connected to his church. So you're certainly in good theology there if you're in Romans,
Yeah.
So do keep on, and we'll keep pressing on as Paul encourages us. In Philippians 3, I press on towards the goal to win the prize for which God has called me heavenwards in Christ Jesus. So know where you're headed, know who you belong to. So regardless of what bumps, what peaks and troughs come along the way, remember who you are because of who Christ is. He wins us. We simply need to humble ourselves and, as you say, prayerfully come before the Lord openly and honestly with the rubbish in our lives. And don't be afraid to put it before the cross, because Jesus is big enough. But repent of those things and turn away and seek godliness. Become the man that God wants you to be. Pursue it. Strive for it. Well, it's great chatting to you. I'll maybe take us off board here, and we'll maybe get a chance to chat a wee bit more and pray together. So
sure.
Any final word? We've definitely exceeded 15 minutes here.
Just nothing really. It's
Alrighty.
Keep on trucking, basically.
Right, well, that's Mr. Andrew Abdi, everyone. Adios, amigo.
See you.
See ya.